Hey, what's going on, people? What's going on, people? Hopefully, you guys can hear me good. And I want to, before I get into it, I want to say, if you would please be so kind, like this video, share this video. That's important because people need the message. I'm just bringing straight positive energy and reality. And also make sure you leave a comment. That helps the algorithms, gives us more opportunity to be able to get in front of more folks. And of course, none of us are independent so much that we are dependent on one upon one another, and we need each other. And so I'll always know that, I always remember that, and I hope you do the same. So without further ado, I wanted to talk about the subject of job with a plan. All right. Now, you probably heard you probably heard the act you probably heard job stands for just over broke. Okay. You probably heard a lot of different things about jobs. You probably heard the security of jobs. You probably heard the predictability of jobs. You probably heard the benefits you get from certain jobs. All of these different types of things. The 401k. It used to be a pension, but they went to the 401k. That's more commonplace. It's very rare to run across a pension. You've heard about these things, and this is the dominant talk in our society for years, especially in the melanated communities. And in essence, all you're doing is when you work for someone, you are making someone else more wealthy. You're setting up their generations. They figured out the system, or they've had the advantage of being able to see a way of taking themselves and multiplying themselves by people and creating a business system. And if they are really into it, they will take that business system and find a way, which this is very difficult, but you're seeing this start to happen with robots and things of that nature, of getting the work done without people. Because if you can do it robotically, autonomously, it doesn't ask for time off, it doesn't get tired, and it's very predictable in terms of the work that it can do. So now you have, of course, have you guys heard of the cash flow quadrants? Okay. So if you haven't heard of the cash flow quadrants, on the left side at the top, you got employee. An employee makes up about 80% of people who go out there and make money, right? Legally. You trade hours for dollars. That's what you do. The more hours you give up, the more dollars you get. And it plays well into the owner's hands, because if they can get you to covet the dollar, you'll be a paper chaser and you'll always clamor for the overtime and the extra hours. Then you have the self-employed just below that on the left side. Self-employed is just like an employee. You feel like a boss, but you're really just a boss of what? You're just a boss of your work. Now, although that may be better than being an employee to a lot of folks, and there's more earning potential, it's based on the strength of you. If you don't feel like waking up and opening the doors to your shop, you don't make any money. If you get sick and you can't go in, you don't make any money. And for a lot of reasons, sometimes it being trust, you don't trust anybody to do the job the way you do it. You're not confident that you can teach somebody how to do the job the way you do it. You have an unrealistic expectation of a person that you wish to take over your business so you can move into the right side, which is the business operator. But you don't have any faith or trust in anybody to do the job, and you won't you don't want any margin for error. No matter how many errors you create in your process of doing it, you trust you more than you trust anybody else. And that's the way that it is. And for a lot of people, that's the way that it's going to be. Now, if you move to the right side, which is the best side, is you have at the top right, you have business owner. Now, what is a business owner? They have systems or a system in place. They fill the roles in the system or systems with people, and people have divvied up assignments and they get paid based on the experience or what the business owner is willing to pay. And by the way, the number one expense for any business is going to be their employees. So the employees are all, business owners are always looking to cut costs. And so they'll do anything that they can. I remember there was a company, not going to name them, very big company, fired their whole sales force and hired a new sales force. And it's not rocket science why they did it. The old sales force was used to getting paid a certain amount of money, and it's unexpected to make sure that it's unexpected to think that you can get somebody who's making this amount of money to take a pay cut. So in essence, they go in behind their back and they're looking for a replacement crew. Once they find a replacement crew, sometimes they're very direct. They let those people go. And when they hire the new people have new energy, but they're not used to getting paid what the old people got paid. So the regime will pay the new people what they truly wanted to pay them. And sometimes it's just very significantly less. And even more so, they may saturate the market for what they're doing and have a bunch of people do the work, but give them very simplistic assignments. Why do they give them very simplistic assignments? Because if it's very, very simplistic, the more simplistic the assignment is, the more people can do the assignment, the easier it is to replace someone. So a lot of times you'll see on a job, even on the flip side, even when you have on a job, someone who is a specialist that can do what only a few people can do, or do something that's hard to find somebody else to do, they will get paid the most. But if it becomes problematic, sometimes those businesses will offer a severance package if they're courteous, and they will eliminate the position. And if they figure out how to break it up. So whether you are very skilled or not skilled, no one is safe when you work for a company. And at the bottom right of the cash flow quadrant, you have, of course, the investor. Now, the investor, they don't trade hours for dollars with people. They don't. They have figured out how to make their money work for them. Okay. So case in point, let's say you run a business and for some strange reason, you're getting exhausted, you're getting tired, and you decide, hey, look, I'm going to get a job to support my family, but I'm going to see if I can get somebody else to run my business. Okay. So you decide to pay someone or some ones to run different segments of operations for your business so that it can run efficiently. You have graduated to becoming a business owner when you do that, actually. So sometimes people can move from the employee or the self-employed just out of pure necessity. I remember when I went into self-employed, I moved out of it in pure necessity. I had to keep traveling across the country backwards and forward, and I was missing time on my job. So therefore, I couldn't do the job because I didn't have the time to do the job, especially the type of job that I had, which was in sales. You don't make any money if you're not selling. So I had to go into being self-employed. I got to control my hours. So when I had free time, I dominated my work space and I did everything that I was supposed to do. And when I needed to take time away from my position, I had the liberty and authority to, but I understood how long I wanted to stay away from that because I knew I had to get back to the money. And the same thing with a business owner, They don't spend a lot of time. They keep tabs on the situation, but operations are being run by people. And a lot of times, if you're smart with a business system, and I'm going to get to investor in a second, but a lot of times with the business system, you have to sit back and you have to really, uh, you might macro manage, or if you're very apprehensive, you may turn into being a micromanager. A micromanager simply doesn't have a lot of trust, and they may have a reason to not have a lot of trust, but nonetheless, they can't peel themselves away from it. When in actuality, a business system, a fine, well-tuned business system would run like your favorite fast food or your most popular fast food restaurant. They make the fries where they make the fries. They they take the orders at the register where they take the orders at the register. The soda machine is where the soda machine is, and then the cooks are where the cooks are. And every one of these popular fast food restaurants are going to look very much the same. It's going to have the same operations. Even when they give franchise opportunities, they have a cookie cutter formula of how to run the business. And they want you to run the business just like that because the name is still a representation of them. You can't just come in and run it however you want to. Same thing. If you had a business and you was going to franchise it out and open different locations, you would want to give an instruction manual on how to run everything from the top from the bottom to the top to the bottom, so that in the event that you are, which you won't be able to watch them, you can understand it is operating that way. And you may have somebody who travels around and just pops in to make sure operations are moving fluid. But back to this investor situation. Okay, an investor, you now understand how you can take your money and you can make your money work for you. So now you don't need people to run your operations. You have a system that's running autonomously without you. A lot of business will get into a hybrid form of doing this because what they'll do is they will find, uh, using the internet or whatever the case may be, they will find, and I'm giving y'all a game, they will find people who don't live in the country, who the dollar is their currency is significantly less than the US currency, but they have the capability of doing the same kind of work virtually. And they have everything for that. You can make somebody overseas look local. So they have those systems. That's kind of like a hybrid between business owner and investor. But truly, an investor is somebody that learns how to take money and flip money. Okay. They turn 7 into 14, 14 into 28, 28 into 56. They know how to just flip things. So, an example of this would be like real estate. So, if you bought a home and you fixed it up and you put it back on the market to sell it, congratulations. You are an investor. You are flipping the money. You are flipping the money, especially if you're not lifting your hands to do it. If you can have somebody do it for you, bring things where they need to be to sell the home, and then whatever you bought the home for, okay, you sell the home for more, and then that difference is your profit margin, pending if you got a loan to get that money, which a lot of people do once they make their first flip. So that's just an example. So ultimately, where you in order to buck the capitalist system, truly, you either have to live completely off the grid, which is very difficult to do, but it's possible, or you have to get to investment status where you have way more money coming in on autopilot than you can spend. That's going to give you I won't even say that gives you freedom, that gives you maximum liberty. And if you've ever heard any of my videos, you've heard me say the difference between liberty and freedom is liberty is spacious confinement and freedom is no confinement at all. So really and truthfully, you don't really get to experience freedom here in the United States by definition, because you can own your cars, you can own your house. But if you don't pay those property taxes, they will come and get your house and your car. So how do you really own something if you have to keep paying for it? Now, if it's truly yours, once you pay for it, you don't pay any property taxes on it. I think, for an example, Colorado doesn't have property taxes on cars. So when you truly buy a car, you don't have to pay anything on it. You still probably, and I don't know this for sure, but I would bet it is, you have to still pay for insurance. So you don't pay for your insurance, you lose your license. You lose your license, you get caught driving with no license, your car's getting impounded. It gets taken away. You may lose your license and then you can't drive anymore. So the cat can get skinned more than one way. Now, another thing that you need to be aware of is when we're talking about a job, though, since 80% of people who make money legally are doing it by a job, last I checked, regardless, the dominant society, the dominance of the majority of society that make money legally are using a job to make money. So if they're using a job to make money, here is what a lot of people will do. Most people are looking for stability. You can understand why they're looking for stability. But here is the problem if you are stable on the job. How many of you out there live on 40% or less of your income? Versus how many of you guys are closer to being paycheck to paycheck? If you're paycheck to paycheck, congratulations, buddy. You're living on 100% of the available funds to you. And you probably have a rhythm of how to do that. But you may, if you're living check to check, you may be for a few days before you get paid, you may be completely broke, waiting on the next check. Now, if you are privy to, okay, if you are privy to work that job, let's just say you start a job at 25 years old and you work that job for 40 years. Okay, 25 plus 40 is 65. Let's just say you retire at 65. You're going to get about 40% of what you made. Now, there is up to this point, and with inflation, this has definitely changed. But up until last recent information that I have studied, there is going to be every 20 years a double in the cost of living. So if you pay $1,000 a month for rent and you stay in that place for 20 years, that same place, no matter what, is going to be $2,000 for the same space. Worse condition. Because nothing that's used gets better, it gets worse. So now, if you have a situation where, but most of us don't stay in the same place, okay? A lot of times, if you're renting it from someone who owns it, eventually they are going to either price you out of staying there or they are going to say you have to move because I want to sell the house. And if they're courteous, they'll let you know in a timely fashion. Now, when you live there, they can only carry based on the rules in the state that you're in, they can only carry a rent up, but so much. If they carry a rent up more than that and they don't go through the standard protocol or they don't have any justification for that, they could get in trouble. But a lot of people don't know their rights. And so because they don't know their rights, then they get taken advantage of. Because how many people are going to be sitting down reading their things that they sign? Most people sign and they gloss over what they are looking at. So a lot of people get in trouble like that. Now, what I'm saying here is if the cost of living is going to double every 20 years and you work for 40 years, is your income going to keep up with the cost of living doubling? So will your income double in 20 years after being on your job? I'm going to say no, because if your income, remember, the number one cost of any business is their employees, their staff. If a person on the staff is starting to be more and more of a burden to do a job and they can find somebody else to do the job for less money, your job is going to be in danger. So it's not about doing what you want to do. Doing what you want to do is doing what you got to do. You have to have a plan when you go and work a job. Some people say, well, you know what? I'm just an employee. That's all I am. That's all I want to be. That would be okay if you were guaranteed security. But you play Russian roulette, if you will, when you have that mindset and you try to stay on your job. The best thing that you can do if you like what you do is find out how you can do it from the standpoint of ownership. I used to work I used to work at this company where you had to go out there and get a license to be able to do a certain type of work. And what a lot of people would do that I noticed is you would rarely have, it would be an anomaly to see somebody there for 20 some years. What would typically happen is they will come into the business, they will learn the tricks of the trades, they will ask questions, they will be inquisitive. That actually looks good because people think you're interested in the job that they gave you. And then they are learning and taking notes of the job that they're doing and how operations are ran. And then they will save money up so that they have an opportunity to be able to start their own company. A lot of people may take FMLA, if you know what I'm saying. That is a medical leave that you can leave your job for 12 months. I mean, 12 months, not 12 months, 12 weeks. So you can give yourself an opportunity to be able to do something over a 12-week period and make realistic goals and realistic progression points so that if after 12 weeks you are where you are realistically supposed to be, you can continue to keep going. Now, I know it's a little bit of uncertainty with that, but it's also uncertainty in what you find to be security. So let me say that again. There is uncertainty in alleged security, whether you're dealing with people, places, and things. Some of the closest people to you will give you their word. And once they give you their word, they're done. They don't hold their end of the stick when it comes to that word. They don't feel any justification, and they will point the finger at you, saying that you are responsible for why you're in the conundrum that you got yourself in. Even if it's true or not, the fact of the matter is you have to take accountability for the decisions that you make for that. So when I say have a job with a plan, let's break that down a little bit, okay? Piggybacking on what I said about getting in and learning the tricks of the trade. Make sure that you're asking questions. Make sure that you're doing studying all of the nuances about what that company does if you want to do that for a living. Like I said, if you find a job that you like, great. But learn how to find a job that you can do from an owner standpoint, at least. At least if you own your work, you can't fire yourself. I mean, you won't fire yourself. And if you're self-motivated, because you have to be self-employed, then you will give the same hours or more to your business that you would to a company. Watch this. Just a second here. I'm going to show you something, just some numbers. So right now we're clamoring right now for minimum wage in the country to be $15 an hour. All right. And I'm going to do you one better than that. Let's say you were able to find a job for $25 an hour and you work 40 hours a week. That's $1,000 a month. I mean, $1,000 a week on a 40-hour work week. And if you work, let's just say you work 52 hours for the easy math. That's $52,000 a year. Now, $25 sounds good in theory, but if you're getting $4,000 a month, okay, and you're a single person, okay, if you make $52,000 by yourself as a single person in the United States of America in 2022, you're going to get taxed 22%. So if you get taxed 22%, that means that they're going to take $11,440 from you. Okay. That will leave you without benefits, that will leave you with $40,560 for the year. Now, when you say benefits and things of that nature, I'm not going to even count that. Not going to even count that for you. I'm just going to go raw. And I'm going to say, if you divide that by 52, you're bringing home, your take home is $780 per week. $780 times 4, that's typically how much days in a month. You've got $3,120. If you have $3,120 a month and your rent is $1,500, you have $1,620 left. What if you have a car payment for $300? All right, that's $1,320 left. Okay, now what if you have car insurance for $100? Okay, that's $1,220 left. What if you have to buy food? Let's just say food's going to cost you $400. Okay, that's $820 left. Okay, you've got to pay your utilities. Okay, let's just say let's not even say gas and electric. Let's just say you just only have electric. Let's say your average bill for for electric is $125. Okay, that's $695 left. Now let's just say you want to have a cell phone. Okay, that cell phone's going to run you $100. Let's just say $100. I know some of you are paying way more than that. That leaves you with $595. Okay, what else do you have? Let's just say you got to get gas to get backwards and forward to work. Let's just say, and gas prices right now is $4 or $5 in some areas, and even more in some areas. But let's just say you're spending, $75 a week on gas. All right, that's $300. Okay, so you started out with, I think I said $25 an hour. Okay, you had $25 an hour, and just to live relatively comfortable. We haven't even figured in utilities. Let's say your utilities like sewage, water, things of that nature. Let's say that's another $80. Let's be nice and say $50. Okay, it took you a whole month to earn what you earned, but you're sitting with about $245 left to your name for the whole month. $245. Now that's you making $52,000. That's you making $1,000 a week, and that's you making $52,000 a year. Take a look. So then divide that by 4. That means that breaks down weekly to less than $62 that you have in your pocket left for the week just to cover your core essentials. We're not talking about you eating out. We're not talking about you having a date. We're not talking about any of that. Now, we're not even talking about you having a family. We're not talking about you having a wife and kid, let alone children. We're not talking about any of that. So my question is, how can you continue to do that when inflation is moving at an alarming rate? Your job may be serving you temporarily, but you can see how you can get priced out of working, how it's going to almost make sense to stay at home and not work. And you say, well, I'm not going to, I don't want to work a job. Now, let's just say if you are one of the high end people, all right, let's say you're making $750,000 a year, but you're an employee. Okay. Well, 37, according to the tax bracket, the highest tax bracket for an individual is 37%. Okay. That's anything over $523,600. Now that's going to give you a lot more room. And what I'm telling you, if you're in that particular situation, you have a terrific opportunity to play coy, play nice, do your job, and set yourself up to be a business owner or an investor. You have to be thinking about this, because I'm telling you right now, if your income becomes too stressful for the company that has hired you, they won't blink to let you go. So whether you're getting a lot of money or you're getting a little bit of money, you need to be thinking about what your plan is outside of your job so you don't depend on your job. Now, the best place to be, I know some people who have businesses or a business and they still work a job, and they might be working their job to fund their businesses. That's an intelligent thing to do. Hustle while you got the muscle. You have to have some sort of plan. Your plan cannot be, I'm going to ride this company out until I can't work anymore. Because first of all, everybody doesn't get to make it to retirement age. There's 2 things that's going to take you out from getting to the age of retirement. And 65 is no longer the retirement age. The one thing that takes people out from getting to 65 is that they die. Now, if you die, you ain't make it to retirement. So you spent your years living working. Now think about this. All right, the mortality rate, let me see what that is. All right. So the mortality rate, just a moment. And I should have had these written down, but I jumped on. So, all right. So the mortality age in the United States, according to 2020, the life expectancy at birth was 77 years old for the total population, a decrease of 1.8 years from 78.8%. Now that's from the cdc.gov. Okay. So you want to reference that, go to the cdc.gov and those data briefs, and you'll be able to see that. All right. So that's what it is. Now it's, let me see here. For females, their life expectancy is a little bit longer. Okay. Females' life expectancies are 79.9. So almost like a whopping 2 years, one and a half years actually, that females live longer. And so imagine if you are able to get to the year 65. Now you're 65 years old. Now, how long is it before you're 77? 12 years. So imagine working your whole life. The best years are behind you. You've got ailments, so on and so forth, and you're hobbling around. And fortunately, you're able to enjoy these last 12 years of your life. Is that what the plan is for your life? See, the bold print is what sells you, is what you're sold on. It's the fine print that kills you. And my people perish for their lack of knowledge. So you have to be aware of these things that are happening when you take a job. Here is another thing that you may want to consider. According to PolitiFact, Social Security is going to be bankrupt by 2032. What year is it right now? It's 2022. So that means we have a whopping 10 years before Social Security is going to drop to 78% of what it was. Here is the other compound problem with that. Inflation is going up. So we're not getting more money when we retire. We're getting less money when we retire. Now, how far are you away from your retirement age? Whether it's 65, 70, or when you plan to retire. See, a lot of you want to retire at 45, 50, or whatever the case may be, but you have no game plan for that. What is your realistic game plan that's going to make that feasible for you? Have a job with a plan, man. Now, just a second here. Okay. All right. So now, when you're thinking about a job with a plan, I know it takes you out of your comfort zone, but I'm crying out to you. There is something about you that's creative that you can bring to the table. Don't do it for money. Do it because you love it. If you love it, it's just a matter of how to get it in front of people who are like-minded to you. I love to use this example about album sales. Now, I know we're into streaming and everything like that, but let's just take album sales. Okay. Let's say 1 million people like your album enough for them to buy it. That would be considered platinum. Is platinum good in the music industry? Absolutely. Now you have 1 million people who bought your album. Now, probably more than one people like your album, but 1 million people decided, or 1 million purchases were made. Some may have purchased multiple, but regardless, you got to 1 million. That means you're not going to fit 1 million people in an auditorium to watch you perform. But if 1 million people like you, which is a peon compared to the US population, if 1 million people like you are now able to have a full tour for your music. And what a lot of artists do is they go on tour and they don't stop. They milk that album for what it's worth. You have people who have been touring for years and years and years and years because they are going to strike while the iron is hot. They may never record another album, or they may record their album a little bit here, a little bit there. But they want to make sure that they're striking the iron while it is hot. And so let's just say the average cost of tickets is $45. All right. I'm just making this up. Let's make it 50. The average ticket cost is $50. Okay. I'll make it even smaller. Let's say it's $30. So you get tickets for $30. Now let's just say the auditorium that you'll be performing at, let's just say you're fortunate enough where it's 20,000. Okay. So it's $600,000 that you're going to get. After you pay the people that you're going to pay, you still should walk away with a nice chunk of change. Now let's just say let's and I don't know the math, but let's just say it's a fourth of that. Let's say it's a fifth of that. Okay. All right. So I don't even want to do that. Let's say that it breaks down to being $70,000 a show. Okay. You're pretty good. 70,000. Okay. That's pretty decent. All right. And let's just say you had a 40 city tour and that's what you averaged. Okay. That's $2.8 million. Yes, you have to pay off taxes and things of that nature, so on and so forth. All right. Let's just say it came out to be like $1 million. Okay. You would turn around and you would keep touring, you would keep touring, you would keep touring, or you would stop, make you some more music, and then you would go on tour again. Especially if you're getting a high turnout, folks are going to buy your album just purely off of the fact that they now like you and they want to support you. You have a following, right? I've seen people who have had good albums and then put out worst albums, yet their album sales from the second album did as much as the first, or it did more than the first, just off reputation. All right. So now you've made yourself some good amount of money. You have to have a plan with that as well. You have to be thinking about how can you make your money work for you. You'll see a lot of people going out there and they will spend up their money on frivolous things. That's cool. They probably feel like, hey, I can go and get another bag. But you have to treat money like with some semblance of preciousness to say, I need to get to a certain level of predictability without my own efforts before I can trick off my money. Because for real, like if you want to go to the mall and you want to trick off some money, like how much money can you really spend? How much room do you have in your vehicle to be able to carry all of those things? You know what I'm saying? So you can still enjoy life without going bankrupt. But a lot of people try to find the most expensive thing to show symbol that they have got the bag, and it doesn't benefit them any at all. So if you're doing something from your own efforts, no matter how little or how much it's paying, you need to have a plan in order to do it, because you may not have the same hustle to make that money tomorrow. Let's just say you do something for 10, 15 years and all of a sudden you're just physically unable to do it anymore, or you're completely burnt out. Well, guess what? If you're burnt out or you can't do it anymore, that money stops. They're not going to pay you a residual for something that you already did. What do you think? This is Medicare? No. Medicare works like that. But most jobs, it's what have you done for me lately? So you have to sort out a plan. Don't go, listen, if you make good money on your job and your job is offering you overtime, it's not about you trying to grab overtime to keep up with your accelerated lifestyle. Cut back on your lifestyle so you can take the surplus of money that you have and you can put it into something that works for you. That's what you have to do. Okay. And I say this to people who have a wife and children. I think the best thing that can happen for a man is if a wife is willing to stay home and take care of you, the house, and the children. as long as you guys are working together. Here's why. Because she could be smart with your money, and she could make conservative investment choices and bring up your net worth. And then when you are unable to do your job for a temporary period of time, you guys don't have to miss a beat. See, some of you make really good money and then you get sick, you get hurt, you're out of work for 6 weeks, and now you're destitute because most people are one paycheck away from being homeless. One paycheck. They are living on a high. They driving nice cars. They live in a nice neighborhood. They got a nice house. They go on vacation. They do a lot of different things. Old buddy slips up. He gets sick. He gets hurt, or he becomes physically unable to perform his duties. And house goes for sale quick. Cars go for sale quick. Moving back home with parents, so on and so forth, or moving into a homeless shelter or homeless. It happens. So never get to the point where your bread, if the only way you can have some semblance of comfort is if the money that you make is not from your efforts. I don't care what it is. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you what it is. I will say follow the desires of your heart, because if you do something that you love, you'll do it, and you'll do it more. And if you do what you love more and you get it in front of other people, somebody's like-minded like you, and they're going to do it too. And if they do it too, or if they vibe with it too, then you got you a base audience. And then you got buyers and you got repeat buyers. And that's the name of the game. Even if it's a t-shirt company, if you have an ability to sell t-shirts, find people that want t-shirts, sell it at a good price. Okay. Make you some profit margin, but let what you're doing full-time, like your job, be something that's carrying you while you're trying to grow that business. Let's just say, like I said, you make $52,000 a year. You start a t-shirt company and you figured out how to make about $8,000 the first year. Don't quit. Look for ways that you can scale up your business so you can get your t-shirts in front of more people and you can make more t-shirts. Maybe you need to buy some new equipment that will help you accelerate what you're making and at an accelerated rate. And then you can develop landing pages and stuff like that, so you can have people come and place orders. So the only thing you have to do is shop your website so people can see what you have to offer, and then they can make those purchases. You can do things like social media, pay for ads on social media. You can use Google ad. You can do so many different types of things, or you can have a professional help you with that for a fee. But it's worth you doing that. And it's worth you keeping those duckies in your pocket and making your duckies work for you. And no matter where you are, no matter how small your business is, be proud of what you're doing. And don't worry about the numbers. Worry about the effort, the time, and the thought process in what you're doing. You're going to get, by doing something over and over again, you're going to get more effective at doing it. So, that's what you need to be doing no matter what level you're on. No matter what level you're on. I know a particular person who makes a particular substantial amount of money, who had a child, who started a business while they were in grade school. The business was doing so well, all that needed to be done was a few more resources to be pumped into that. That son, your daughter is supposed to build legacies. It's supposed to be part of your legacy. Sending that child off to school, I'm sorry. Sending that child off to school guarantees one thing, that child's going to have debt. And if you're in a situation where you can pay off that debt as it comes, because I know someone who was able to, every time this tuition check was due, it was written out in full every time. If you are that's an anomaly. But if you are fortunate enough to do that, why would you do it? You can use that money to serve you, to work for you and serve you better. Even if you were getting interest on 2, 3, 4%, or whatever the case may be, that money would be better served doing that than it would be you going and paying for tuition in school. That's why you find a lot of people, even if they got the money, they will finance something. If you finance something and you have a plan, financing can be a great thing for you to do. But if you're just financing to finance, it's not great. Same thing with a job. If you have a job with a plan, it is a great thing that you can do, because then you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Some of you get disturbed in your spirit because the things that you're doing for a living, you get exhausted doing it. You get so tired and weary of doing it. Why? Because Your body is made to break down no matter what. Even if you're sitting at a desk, you're mentally break down. It's not just the physical, it's the mental too. It's the emotional too. Do you understand? You can get vexed and you can just drag your feet in what you're supposed to be doing. You don't want to do that. All right. So, again, I want you to come away from this video and I want you to start thinking about what are some of your skill sets and talents. Stop sharing your dreams with other people because other people are going to talk you out of your dreams. We live in a crab in a barrel type world. But if you have a dream, no matter how others may feel about your dream, pursue that dream. That dream's in your heart. You know why it's in your heart? Because you understand it better than anybody else. And the world needs you to be in your element. So use these jobs. Listen, don't burn any bridges. Use these jobs for the time period that you have to use them. And listen, give your job, if you want to be courteous and they've been good to you, give them a 2-week notice. And even if there's no sight of them doing you wrong, you should still have an urgency about your plan. Say, hey, listen, I'm going to work this job for 5 years. And then I'm going to pick my head up and see where I am in my business. They offer that extra overtime. It's more money. You say no. Because I can go and put that same amount of time in my business and I can make 10 times that. And you don't have anything to lose. You don't have anything to lose like that because you got your job. So these are my final thoughts. The day of reckoning is coming in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Are you going to be prepared or are you going to be caught with your pants down? Do you have faith in people and do you have faith in things that are happening in your life? If you do, I'm telling you, voluntarily or involuntarily, those people and those things, and they are going to let you down. They're going to let you down. Somebody will give you their word. Hey, hold on. I got you. And guess what will end up happening? They won't have you. And some people don't even have the courtesy to call you, reach out to you, or come to you and check on you in the disarray and the devastation that their word left you. So you can't trust anybody's word. And if somebody has proven that they're trustworthy, it's not something that they can let up on. A person that wants your trust and wants to earn your trust is a person that's willing to keep earning your trust. Because guess what? They might have a day where they're tired of earning your trust, where your trust doesn't mean as much to them. You're not going to always know when that day is going to come. And you're going to think they're going to come through for you, and then they won't be there. They'll leave you with your pants down. So don't depend on people for that, because you will get burned. Trust me, I know. And try to be the opposite for people. Try to be an out of worldly person in terms of your kindness. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, don't tell them you're going to do something unless you know you're going to do it, and hold yourself to that word. Don't abandon that word. Even if things get out of your control, communicate that to the people that entrusted you, and don't hold people for ransom. People can't sit back and wait for when you're ready to go that they're going to be ready to go. If you give somebody a timeline, make sure you know that the timeline you're giving them is what you can control, what you have been informed. And if something doesn't work out, you need to do your due diligence to get in touch with that person and let them know. Because sometimes people will want to have faith in you. They will take your word. You will be upset if people don't take your word and trust you and not worry. But guess what? If they take your word and trust you and not worry, and you let them down, you may leave them in disarray and devastation. All right. Please make sure that you like this video. Okay. That really helps me. Make sure that you comment this video. Talk to me nice. All right. Let's us all have respect for one another. And also, when you leave that comment, that also helps my algorithms of getting in front of more people. So I need you help me help others. And lastly, make sure that you subscribe to this channel. I have all intentions of making sure that I'm bringing consistently the content. You can email me at my email address below. And if you have questions or you want to book me, if there's a topic that you want to see me talk about, and I feel comfortable talking about it, and I know that I can handle that topic, I'll be happy to talk about it. But I'm looking forward to all of the different topics that I'm going to broach with you. And I'm hoping to go far in this journey. And I hope that you will roll and flow with me. And when I come to a city near you, I hope to see you. Take care.